Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Taos, New Mexico. We have a great crowd here at Martinez Old Hall, correct? And today we're going to do some education and information and about capital, about angel investing, about venture investing, and about networking. And we want to thank UNM STC for assisting us. And I'm going to start off the program, and please, if you have any questions, stop, raise your hand, and I'll try and answer them. My name is John Chavez. I'm currently the president of the New Mexico Angels. I also have a small venture fund where I'm a general partner in A Ventures, which is out of Albuquerque. And also I have a company called the New Mexico Startup Factory. And the focus of the Startup Factory is to identify promising technology at our research institutions like UNM, Los Alamos National Labs, Arrowhead Center in Las Cruces, and Sacco. I always want to say thank you to our partners, stc.unm. The United States Economic Development Agency helps us do these kind of projects. Innovate Ventures, which is that small venture fund that we have down in Albuquerque, and the Sandia Tech Park. So, we're not going to do introductions because we can't tell the people out there in the internet world who you are, but we're going to go right into our agenda today. So we're going to talk about what is equity. We're going to talk about giving up equity. We're going to talk about the capital stack in New Mexico, and that is essentially what kind of capital is out there for you as entrepreneurs and business owners. We're going to talk about angels versus venture capital. And lastly, we're going to talk about company structure. So, what is equity? Equity is essentially what you have in your company that you can do a number of things with it. So, when you start your company, you own 100% of it, and you can own 100% of it forever. However, if you're a capital-consuming company, equity is something that you can sell and bring capital into your company. Equity is not a loan, so you never have to pay it back. Now, if you're raising capital to grow your company, hopefully in the future the investors will get some of their money back. And then once the investor buys into your company, you have a partner. And you want to keep that partnership positive and growing as you go and continue to grow your company. Sort of learning the lingo about capital. So if you have company A, which is raising $100,000, they have a $500,000 pre-money valuation, and people go, how do you come up with that valuation? It's really an agreement with the entrepreneur as you sit down and talk about what kinds of goals and what they want to do with the money that they're bringing in. And so in this example, the investor net owns about 20% of the company. Now there's a bunch of other things that have to happen, but this is really a high-level example. Or in the Shark Tank format, how many of you all have seen Shark Tank? Doesn't usually go down the way they do it on TV, gotta tell you. However, they have a real interesting concept where they'll pitch a deal and say, I'll give up 20% of my company for $100,000, I'll give 20% of my company up for 5%, and really it's a function of what kind of valuation you have on your company. So, taking and giving up equity. So when you talk about equity, there's a number of things you can use that equity for. You can sell it to bring cash into your company, to grow your company. We use equity as a currency to bring in people to assist our companies grow. So a CTO will get a salary plus a stock option plan. And it's used, once you get your cash, then you can use it to do other things. Manufacturing, marketing, and advertising, hiring additional staff. And if you had the option today, what would you raise your money for? So think about your business today. Think about how it's doing. And thinking if you always say, well, what happens if I would bring in $200,000? How would I spend that money? And that's one of the things is the thought process about taking equity. So, why do investors want to have ownership in your company? As a serial investor, I've been doing angel investing since 2003. The reason we like to do deals in the angel space is because it's high risk, high return. And what we like to see is an abnormal return that you don't see on the stock market or real estate or any other platform out there. However, when we talk to angel investors, what we encourage them to think about is a portfolio of angel investments. Because you can't make one angel investment and expect to make any money because it's hard to pick the winners. You do due diligence, you go and talk to entrepreneurs, but a lot of times you have to build a portfolio because, according to the statistics, 7 out of 10 companies are going to fail after 5 years. So they can be a strategic partner. They want to have connections to your company. We're working on a deal in Albuquerque for an official product. And guess what? We got dentists interested in the company. And so that connection can tie an investor with a company. And the other thing is, this dentist is already offering us advice, thinking about this, this, and this. And so it allows an investor who can't go on the public market and buy Apple, Microsoft, or another company. They can do whatever they want, but with a small company connection, now they can have a real impact. So, a little bit about the capital stack in New Mexico. How many of you all have heard that there's no capital in New Mexico? You know, that's a myth. What happened about a month ago is Meow raised $157 million in capital. Last week, there was a company called out of Albuquerque, and they're a laser company. They're making $16 million in capital, some from Boeing. And so, even in Taos, in Cuesta, the bar company has raised capital. And so there is capital out there for companies that are willing to take it and structure themselves in a way that makes sense for the investor. So here's the small company ecosystem in New Mexico. You know, as an entrepreneur founds a company, they're the one putting the money in. And if they're successful starting a company, then they go talk to their friends and family. And I always say that friends and family, it's a really tight connection, and you can get capital. As a professional investor, you always want everything to be documented. It's very, very important that you document what the deal is in your friends and family round. And in New Mexico, you have microlenders, West, Axiom, they've changed their name, and the Loan Fund. And they do microlending, anywhere from $7,500 up to $200,000. And they take a bike, they take a car, they can take a kid as collateral. But they are out there lending, which is really cool. We have crowdfunding. Meow Wolf raised $1 million in 24 hours on the crowd platform. It was fascinating to watch it. You know, they put it up, and you could just see the dollar number. It was like, go, go, go. It was just a really cool thing. Then you have angel investors. The angels are one of the early investors in Meow Wolf. Then you have Catalyst Venture Capital Funds, and they typically do deals anywhere from $250,000 to $750,000. And then you have venture capital funds that do anywhere from $1 million up to $3 million. All of those are here in New Mexico. You just have to be engaged and willing to go out and find them. The other cool thing that's out there is loan grants and strategic partners. The United States government has an SBIR program and an STTR program where they give grants for $150,000 to $225,000 to start your company. You have to get a really particular vertical market for them, but they are out there, they're actively funding. One of our companies has received over $1.75 million in grants to create their product and solidify their product and make their product better. So this is a great chart, and what this slide says is this is the decreasing return, this is decreasing risk. So
here is the idea stage, business plan, prototype, beta, sales, and profitability. This is typically the amount of funding. And what you see is friends and family are the most high risk, high return kind of deal. And then you have angels, and then you have the government, the SBIR program, and then you have venture capital and strategic partners. And as you go out that way, as you're more successful in getting your product launched, decreasing risk, as you go up this way with more money, decreasing return. And so this is a great chart because it talks about how the sequencing of events happens when funding a capital consuming company. Angels versus VC. I always like to say that angels are nice and VCs aren't, but I'm both, and I think I'm big enough. But there is some differences between angels. Who are and what are angels? Angels comprise what we call wealthy individuals who are accredited by, quote unquote, the United States government that allows them to lose money. That's all it is. Usually angels have a portfolio of investments, and I always talk, I had lunch with an investor yesterday, and I said, if you want to be an angel, you got to have your stocks, you got to have your bonds, you got to have your real estate, you got to have your retirement. And then if you have something left over, then you can do angel private equity or venture investing, because there's a high probability that during your life cycle as an angel investor, you're going to be behind really big as you build out your portfolio. And angels are looking for good companies that impact the world. We started a company that we believe and have received angel funding that's going to change the way that people diagnose Alzheimer's. Would it be great if that was successful? I mean, it's high risk, high return, but if it's successful, then everybody's going to be very, very excited. And the other thing is, think about angels in New Mexico. We fund companies in New Mexico. And without the angels, then they could not, or angel investors, they can't grow their business. And so we see about 200 deals a year, and we fund about 4 or 5. So once again, angels are high risk, high return. A typical deal is under $500,000. Usually we purchase 20% or less of the company. And the reason is because we want the entrepreneur to be successful. And if they own a big chunk of the company and they're doing well, then the angels are going to do well. And New Mexico angels aren't a fund, so it's just people writing checks out of their regular bank accounts. And the return is realized when the company's sold. So we usually don't get dividends, we don't get distributions, it's when that company is sold. So some stats across the United States. In 2016, $21 billion was funded by angels. There was about 65,000 companies, and angel dollars, according to the Angel Capital Association, were responsible for about 270,000 new jobs. An average deal is about $330,000 at a $2 million valuation. There's angels for anything. You have software, retail, internet, food and beverage, financial, computer. A lot of money is going into software because it's so effective and it's so a lot of money, a little money goes a long way in software. But if you look at the healthcare space, a lot of the angels go into the healthcare space. Medical devices, pharmaceuticals, diagnostics. Once again, changing the world for the better. What are we good at? Angels are good at having coffee, having lunch, having dinner, having drinks. And why is that important? Because we're the first round educators of entrepreneurs. I mean, we spend a lot of time at Starbucks, we spend a lot of time in Albuquerque in a number of restaurants when we meet entrepreneurs and we just discuss their deal, discuss their company, and sometimes they don't need it. All they need is advice. And we help them get that kind of advice, marketing, finance, customer discovery advice. So, once again, some more stats. 1 in 10 startups obtains angel financing. 1 in 10 angel deals seeks VC money. So once again, think about that big funnel. About 600,000 companies started per year, 60,000 get angel, about 6,000 get venture capital. And 80% of our deals are seed or angel capital. So once again, a typical angel will write a check for $10,000 to $100,000. A usual size of a deal is $100,000 to $500,000, and a typical investment is that early seed and stage investment. Once again, we don't want to control the company. All we want to do is have a positive impact on that company. And it usually takes us 2 to 3 months to do a deal. So, a little bit about the New Mexico Angels. We're a 501c6 organization, just like the Chamber of Commerce. We have about 55 high wealth individuals that participate. We have about 12 to 15 industry providers, banks, marketing firms, attorneys, credit unions, and we're early investors in companies such as Realvo, Samba Safety, Eco Pesticides, Verde, Innobright, don't need to name anymore. Hey, Grant. What we told us. Thank you. A little bit about the New Mexico Angels. We invest in all sorts of deals, but most of our deals, about 92%, are in New Mexico. If we don't have enough money, then we syndicate these deals with the Arizona Angels, venture capital firms, and private equity firms. And sometimes an angel is a partner for life. My first deal in 2003, I still have. So what is that? 17 years later, it's still in my portfolio. Will I ever see any money out of it? I'm not sure. I hope, but I'm not counting on it. So, once again, the New Mexico Angels have a very broad funding approach. Knowledge Reef was a web and social networking company. Acoustic cytometry, one of our better successes, was a medical device. Vista Therapeutics was a medical device. T-Spot was a company out of Boulder that everybody just liked their tea, and we put $150,000 into that company. We still have it, and we still get tea from them, but we're not sure we're ever going to get money back on that one. So Sarah is a stroke drug. Vibrant is an aircraft testing service. And one of our most recent is a soda company out of Santa Fe with probiotic soda. And a little company out of Albuquerque called Green IR that has a really interesting device. Some of our investments over the last couple of years, we've got up to $1 million. This year we're going to probably do about $1.2 million or $1.3 million. What we look for in a company is a barrier to entry, a patent secret sauce, a competitive business advantage, solid management team, and will help with that, and a scalable product. So angels don't like service companies. They don't like something that is small. They want it to grow and explode, and that's what we fund in our deals. Desire for advice and coaching, and sometimes that's hard to figure out when you meet an entrepreneur, but it takes a little bit of time. But it's really important for the investors to know that the company will be listening to them. And a potential return of 10x after 3 to 5 years. I like to say a potential, because sometimes we're just happy to get our money back. And sometimes we do. So our process, this is what we do, is we engage them at the coffee shop, at the entrepreneurial programs, at events like this today, and we'll spend some time with them and give them an idea what it means to take capital from angels. We look at their business plan or their pitch deck, and we'll give them advice and say, this is pretty cool. And then once a quarter, we bring in 4 to 6 companies to screen, and then after that, we bring 2 companies in to present to the New Mexico Angels at their dinner. So when you're looking for angel money, determine your fundraising strategy. Always come with the thought of, I need $200,000 to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to have my use of funds document that says I'm going to spend $40,000 on salaries, $70,000 on marketing, and $60,000 on product development, so that you can educate the investor on what you're going to be using the money for. And angels bring more than money to the table. We bring advice and coaching, we bring contacts, we bring networking kind of things that help the companies be successful. As you're looking for angel money, go to the Angel Capital Association website, because there are 190 angel groups across the United States. They have women-only angels, they have chemical angels, they have telecom angels, they have all these things that are funded by angels. You have university angels and you have regional angel groups. So some angel groups will never do a deal without their outside the region, but some of them do. Usually you get a quick no, and if you get a quick yes, it's a lot quicker than the venture capital folks. But we do a thorough due diligence review. So general do's and don'ts: try and get a referral in, or come to an event like this and meet the angels. Make sure that you're the right fit for them. So like, I got a real estate deal the other day. We don't do real estate. I had to send off a note saying that we don't do real estate. Listen to what they want. So if angel group says we need an executive summary, create an executive summary. It's really interesting. People call me and say, I'm looking for money, and I go, send me an executive summary, and I never hear from them again. So it's a good way to tell people that's the bar. And once again, send the current executive summary. Don't assume that your deal will be funded. There are entrepreneurs out there trying to raise funds just like you. And so you're not only are you talking to the angel group, but you're in competition with other opportunities that they can go after. And assume your company is what your friends say the company's worth. We got these deals all the time. Well, my friend says it's worth $10 million. And what I say is, did your friend write you a check? And they usually say no. And so look at what the valuation models are out there in the world, and talk to your angel contact about this. And don't give up. I have a friend that has been very successful in creating a company. His last company went to 30 investors before he got the deal done. And he says, I have to kiss a lot of frogs to find my friends, right? But once he found his friends, they were successful and they sold the company for multiples after about a year. So, myths about angels: that will put an idea on paper, and that will pay for high price, pay executive salaries, that we don't want to see a business plan, and we don't care about the return on our investment. We all care about those things. So, a little bit about venture capital. Any questions about angel investing before I step into venture capital? Okay. Cool. So, what is venture capital? It's professionally managed risk capital. It's focused on innovation in high-growth companies, and it funds new ideas that banks won't fund. It's a long-term investment horizon. So venture capital funds are typically 5 years to invest, 5 years to harvest, and 3 years to tell your limited partners that you have that you're still not done with. So about 13 years is typical for a venture capital fund. And there's minimal liquidity until things are sold. So it's a long-term deal that you can't get out of. What type of companies get venture capital? Lavu, Exogen, Trilumina, Miawa. They have products that have a dynamic growth curve. The founders want to sell after a period of time. They address large markets, and they have leading technical differentiation, that competitive business advantage. And they want hands-on, involved investors. So there's a VC for all sorts of stages. Gives you the numbers of the deals that are out there. You've got idea, early stage, expansion, and later stage. Their sweet spot are these two right here. early stage, seed stage venture is really hard to find, but there are more. Maybe. Bit of perspective, venture capitalists are investing other people's money. So they have to fundraise just like entrepreneurs. And they're accountable on how they invest their money. And so they do spreadsheet after spreadsheet, model after model. They compare things about, they do a very deep dive into due diligence. And they have to raise money just like entrepreneurs. So this is the way it works. You have investors that give a commitment to the fund. You got a venture fund, and then you have the portfolios that they now put the money into. Typical deal is if you do 10 companies, 1 or 2 will provide the majority of your return on your venture side, just like the angels. Just like the angels, they have certain evaluation points. They want a team that's investable, coachable. Their alignment, so they say they want to be in it for 5 years and sell it. The market, large market, scalable, they really want to go after large markets. They want to have technology that has advantages, that's scalable, and then they want the entrepreneur to understand that there's a financial model behind it that's going to provide these oversized returns. So, any questions before I turn it over to Stacy? Yes, sir.
Have you convinced Vince Capital that to be an angel guy?
So the question is, have you convinced Vince, who's the founder of Meow, to be an angel investor? You're going to have to ask Vince. Yes, sir.
He's not a member.
Yes, sir.
In a market like Taos, I mean, you're several places in there. You mentioned large markets. Taos is not a large market, but it could appeal to a large market potentially.
So it's not the market that the company's at. It's the market that they're serving. So thinking about Taos Mountain Energy Bars, right? Huge market out there in the world. There was a company here in Taos that was sold 4 years ago that did hotel financial software. And so it's not about the market that the company is located in, it's the market that the company is serving. Both angels and venture folks want that market to be large.
I would assume, because Taos Mountain Energy Bars is a great example. They started small, started here, but had a vision for what it could become. And I assume that's where the angel investors come in, is helping that vision to be realized.
So the question is, Taos Mountain Energy Bars had a vision, and they started small. You don't see companies start large. Typically, in New Mexico, a typical startup starts with $100,000, friends and family, and then the next round is $250,000 of angel. It's hard to grow a company from zero to venture unless there's something special about it. They have special intellectual property, they have a special team. Descartes Labs is a great example of a special something. So Descartes Labs is out of Los Alamos National Labs. They do mapping from satellites. And what happened was a venture capital firm found this group out of Lamb and said, we're going to offer all 6 of you to come to this company. We'll fund it with $5 million and we'll take it to market. And now the story is there are 75 people in downtown Canada. And so, but typically it's a more step process. And sometimes you see those big rounds coming in early, and that's a really nice thing for that particular company. More questions? Stacy.
So, excuse me, when you first started, you mentioned a laser company. I think that was 3D glass.
3D glass.
Yeah, because I had to look it up. I couldn't remember it.
$16 million in venture capital and just closed. And Boeing is a large investor in that particular.
Which leads to my question. I get a lot of people who ask me about, who's funding, where's the money coming from, etc., and who's getting that money. And it ends up, somebody showed me Crunchbase, which was a software, I guess a database program, where you can go look at that. But I thought Wow, you're the expert on this. Is that where you go to find information or data, or is there another software program out there?
So the question is, who's getting the money? Where's the money coming from? And when does those transactions happen?
Right.
So in New Mexico, it's mostly word of mouth. So there was a company in Albuquerque called, K&K Skincare. And it's a company that has a skincare product with a special molecule that makes it better than other things. They just raised $550,000. No one knows about it. Yes, ma'am.
What is the name of the company?
K&K Skincare.
K.
Yes, ma'am.
And where are they originating
From Albuquerque, New Mexico. And actually, you can go to their website. Your name is the core technology. And I put some on this one, I don't know if you can tell. We helped advise them. We tried to deal with them. Unfortunately, another investor moved in front of us, which is fine, because what we want to see is success out of New Mexico. We would have liked to put money in the deal. We just weren't quick enough. And that's okay. So back to most of the time, it's just the community that knows what's going on. So sometimes we don't do announcements. So one of our companies just raised $150,000. The funder knows it, the company knows it, but nobody else knows it. It's just, those are the typical things. We do try and do announcements on positive things, and sometimes the press will take it, and sometimes it won't. Yes, sir.
Venture capitalists and angel investors aren't really interested in investing in areas that have economic difficulties. You mentioned grants, and I wondered if you could talk a little bit about whether we've got an opportunity zone here.
Sure.
We've got towns that have pretty high unemployment.
So the question, there's two questions, a two-part question, is will venture capital and angels invest in economically depressed areas? And the answer is yes. But it has to be a structured deal that has all those components that I talked about. Good team, intellectual property or competitive business advantage, a large scale. We looked at a deal out of weed, New Mexico. How many of you have heard of weed, New Mexico? It's a guy that made cowboy hats. And he was looking to have a deal with the PBR. And so we're going, this is pretty cool. He's going to hire 6 people out of weed, New Mexico. Well, as we're walking down the path to do the due diligence, he never got the contract with PBR. So investors will go to places as long as the deals are there. Now, the question is, what about grants and opportunity zone funding? So 2.5 years ago, Congress passed what's called Opportunity Funding. And what it is, it's a investment vehicle for long-term investors. So let's say that Stacy made a great investment in XYZ company. He put $1 million in, and he drug out $20 million because it was a success. So he now has $19 million in capital gains. An opportunity zone fund says, Stacy, give me your $19 million. We will invest it for you, and in 10 years, we're going to give it back to you, and you don't have any capital gains in that. It's just, that's the equation. And so, I think Taos is an opportunity zone, correct? It is. There's about 7 opportunity zones down in Albuquerque. But the challenge is finding people like Stacy with a capital gain, and secondly, someone who's going to go, I don't need my $19 million for the next 10 years. So there is some speciality to that. There are some opportunity zones, but they're being driven by the money guys out of New York City and Austin and Silicon Valley. Having a $5 million opportunity zone in New Mexico, I'm not sure is going to move the needle. And I'm not sure you're going to find the investors. But as far as grants, there's some really cool stuff out there for grants. You have SBIRs and STTIRs. If you Google that, you'll be taken to New Mexico State, Arrowhead, and they do training for companies that are looking for grant opportunities. So, DITRA, DARPA, DOE, DOD, all this alphabet soup of federal agencies provide grant funding. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to solve a particular problem. And so they'll say that they'll put something out there, we need to solve cracking in solar cells. And all these companies will go, hey, I got a solution to that problem, and they'll put their proposals in, and then the DOE or who's ever giving that grant will say, we pick you, we're going to give you $150,000 to try and tell us that you can actually solve this problem. And if you tell us that you can solve that problem, then there may be another $750,000 for SBIR2. So it's a really interesting dynamic out there that a lot of people don't know about, but we try to educate the community about it. And also, New Mexico State Arrowhead Center has functions and webinars where you can go and look at what it means to apply for a grant, how to find it, and $150,000 is nothing to shake your nose at. But they're out there. So, any more questions?
Okay.
Stacy, so